2024 could be a tougher year for China. Extreme weather becomes more intense. CCP approves 105 games, fails to boost confidence as A shares continue to decline. Xi Jinping frustrated, Politburo members not speaking truth. CCP unveils secrecy list for total control of citizens, warning, escalating human rights persecution. Tenfold increase in Chinese fleeing, forecast of refugee surge before CCP collapse.
It's all covered in today's China Truths.
2024 could be a tougher year for China. Extreme weather becomes more intense. For many Chinese people, 2023 has been a tough year. To begin, the country experienced a renewed outbreak of the coronavirus epidemic early in the year, which led to many people losing family members, friends, or colleagues. Several months later, people had to endure the hottest summer on record since temperature records began in 1850. Beijing, as the capital, saw record-breaking high temperatures. A monitoring station in Three Treasures Town, Turpan Basin, Xinjiang, recorded a temperature of 126 degrees Fahrenheit, setting a new national record. In late summer and autumn, several typhoons made landfall, bringing record-breaking rainfall to many parts of China and causing severe flooding. Zhou in Hebei province, in particular, suffered greatly as it became a flood discharge area due to Beijing authorities' efforts to protect Xiong'an, resulting in a devastating disaster. Currently, including Beijing, northern China is dealing with a historically rare severe cold, with many regions experiencing extremely freezing weather over the past 2 weeks. However, the nightmare for Chinese people has not stopped there. Zhou Bing, a leading expert at the National Climate Center of China, stated that due to the El Niño phenomenon, 2024 could be even hotter and may witness more frequent and intense extreme weather events. Meteorologists predict that while the El Niño phenomenon may subside between April and June next year, its effects will continue to impact temperatures in the subsequent months. There's an expectation that more temperature records may be broken in 2024. Consequently, Chinese citizens may need to prepare both psychologically and materially in advance. CCP approves 105 games, fails to boost confidence as A shares continue to decline. Following the Chinese government's clampdown on the online gaming industry, which resulted in a staggering $80 billion loss in market value for tech behemoths like NetEase and Tencent, the authorities, in a swift move on December 25, approved 105 domestic game licenses in a single stroke. This move was seen as an attempt to mitigate the adverse effects of the crackdown. Despite these efforts, the stock prices of gaming companies continued their downward trajectory on the same day. Major Central Party media outlets, including People's Daily and CCTV, reported in sync that, after approving a batch of imported online game licenses on December 22, the National Press and Publication Administration of the CCP rolled out another batch of 105 domestic game licenses. This marked the first time the number of licenses issued in a single round exceeded 100. Many Weibo admins saw this as the government's attempt to lighten the mood and shore up market confidence, following the release of the online game management measures just 3 days earlier, which had hit major gaming companies' stocks hard. However, when the Shanghai stock market opened on Monday, it was still mired in a bearish sentiment, showing no signs of optimism. According to Silian Press, shares of 37 Interactive Entertainment, a prominent Chinese online gaming company, took a nosedive shortly after the market opened. Other gaming stocks, including Yaoji Technology, Giant Network, Kaiying Network, and Gigabit, all fell over 5%. At the end of 2021, the Chinese Communist Party authorities had branded games as spiritual opium for the youth, subsequently leading to several crackdowns on gaming companies. The CCP's regulatory actions have already wreaked havoc in the real estate and education sectors. Public opinion now suggests that the government is setting its sights on the gaming industry. Xi Jinping frustrated, Politburo members not speaking truth. The Chinese state news agency Xinhua reported that on the 21st and 22nd, the CCP's Politburo held a democratic life meeting. CCP leader Xi Jinping chaired the meeting, emphasizing democratic centralism. He urged Politburo members to reflect the true situation they understand in a timely manner, stating that they cannot report only good news and not the worries. Experts express that due to Xi's personal dictatorship, his subordinates, in an attempt to protect themselves, have been reporting false information. Faced with political chaos, Xi is very annoyed, indicating that the CCP regime has entered a dead end. On the 25th, China expert Wang He told the Epoch Times that the party leader wants to ensure he has the final say, but he can't handle everything alone. These members of the Central Politburo, all part of Xi's army, are now more of a hindrance. Clearly, after the 20th Party Congress, new latent contradictions have emerged in the CCP's high ranks. The party leader's speech indicates that the Politburo members are reporting false information, which greatly annoys Xi. Wang He said that many actual situations at the lower levels are being concealed. No one wants to expose their true thoughts or take risks. The situation reported to party leader Xi Jinping by the Politburo members is all good on the surface, but the actual situation is very bad. Therefore, Xi Jinping criticized them at this meeting. In recent years, the CCP authorities have only emphasized centralized and unified leadership, but this Politburo meeting suddenly re-emphasized democratic centralism. Wang He stated that the so-called democratic centralism of the CCP lacks democratic elements, with Xi Jinping having the final say, leading the CCP's high level into a dead end. Regarding this, independent commentator Kai Shinquan posted on X platform, stated that the message is very clear: Xi Jinping's core authority is being questioned and challenged, whether from within the party or from various social strata, and Xi Jinping and his confidants are clearly feeling it. Kai Xia, a former professor at the Central Party School of the CCP now living in the United States, stated on X platform that Xi Jinping's government, after many years, is revisiting democratic centralism. This is because in the face of the current crisis, they do not want to take responsibility themselves, but rather pass the buck to the Politburo Standing Committee and members. CCP unveils secrecy list for total control of citizens, warning, escalating human rights persecution. After the new version of the anti-espionage law was implemented on July 1, the CCP's Ministry of State Security has increasingly intervened across various sectors. They recently issued a confidentiality checklist that encroaches on the daily lives of citizens, alleging to target acts that jeopardize the security of national secrets. On the 25th, they dropped this daily confidentiality attention checklist on WeChat. This thing is pretty detailed. It's got 26 rules covering everything from secret documents, computers with classified info, to how you use your phone and who you talk to about what. Li Jianping, a former Beijing lawyer, told the Epoch Times on December 26 that usually state secrets were a big deal for certain folks, not your average Joe. But now, everyone's daily life could get affected, especially people in the party, government, military, academia, and research. Their everyday lives will now be extensively constrained. Li Jianping thinks the CCP's getting into everybody's business is like something out of an Orwell novel, creating a tension never seen before, indicating the extreme vulnerability of the CCP regime. Xing Shui, a Canadian-Chinese writer, mentioned that the CCP used to care about how it looked to the world, especially regarding human rights. But now, they seem to have abandoned that concern. She also highlighted a key difference between the CCP and what she considers normal civilized countries. The CCP classifies any information that could potentially harm its rule as a state secret. She's asking, what's the CCP's idea of a state secret? Stuff like the Tiananmen Square massacre or the CCP's economic downturn, things are visible to the entire world but are classified as a state secret in China. The global spread of the new coronavirus was exacerbated by its initial treatment as a state secret, leading to the persecution of individuals like Dr. Li Wenliang who tried to leak information. According to Xing Shui, every piece of evidence of the CCP's persecution of its people is categorized as a state secret. Chen Shui is really worried because the way the Ministry of State Security defines state secrets is super broad and invasive now. It's getting into everyday life, with no clear boundaries, and that could ramp up human rights abuses big time. She also thinks these new rules are fueling more power struggles within the CCP and becoming tools for human rights oppression. So, the overall vibe in China is getting more restrictive and dangerous. It's not just the folks pushing back against the CCP's control who are in danger, it's becoming a threat to everyone. Lawyer Li Jianping's take is that the only way out for the Chinese is to boldly stand up against the CCP's authoritarian ways. He's saying that everyone in China needs to have the guts to fight back in whatever way they can. Otherwise, they're all gonna end up victims of the CCP's dictatorship. Tenfold increase in Chinese fleeing, forecast of refugee surge before CCP collapse. According to stats from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP), by the end of September this year, over 24,000 Chinese citizens were nabbed in the U.S.-Mexico border. These folks were crossing the border to enter the United States, marking a staggering tenfold increase from the fiscal year 2022. Mr. Victor Chao, Secretary General of the Overseas Chinese Citizens Committee of the Republic of China, expressed the following sentiments: "I hope that the U.S. government can recognize them as victims of communism, a distinct group separate from both the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese people, and then pass legislation to provide assistance to them." According to Mr. Chao, these individuals grew up under the influence of communist ideals and now find themselves suffering under the oppressive rule of the Communist Party. This has turned them into victims of communism. He also pointed out that as Chinese citizens gain a deeper understanding of the truth, they are awakening to the situation, and an increasing number are choosing to escape from the oppressive CCP regime. Especially following the publication of 9 commentaries on the Communist Party, and as they gain a better understanding of the reality, they come to see this regime as evil rather than a legitimate government. Mr. Chao said that he recommended that the public, the masses, and the media adopt a new term, CCP state, to describe it, as it deviates from the norms of a typical nation. Historically, waves of refugees who were victims of communism emerged prior to the collapse of communist regimes in the former Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. Therefore, Mr. Chao highlighted that the significant increase in Chinese citizens fleeing the mainland signals the impending collapse of the CCP regime. He said that defection is only a temporary solution, the real solution lies in the dissolution of the Chinese Communist Party. Victor Chao also sent a letter to the U.S. House Committee on Combating the CCP, suggesting that authorities hold hearings for Chinese defectors, listen to their accusations against the Communist Party, and provide them with assistance. In his words, "If you don't take a stand, if you don't raise your voice, how much worse do you think this regime will become? How much more suffering do you think it will inflict upon the people? Therefore, we need more individuals, especially those who have defected, to come forward and share their perspectives."
Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.